A very warm welcome to the World Order. I am Dr. Maria Zulfikar Khan. Because elections are not just about who wins power. They decide who writes the rules. This idea captures the essence of Bangladesh's February 12th election.
We will make our new Bangladesh.
This vote isn't simply about choosing a government. It is about who gains the authority to redesign institutions, shape coalitions, and recalibrate foreign policy in a post-crisis political landscape. What makes this election even more exceptional is that it is not a single decision. On the same day, Bangladeshi voters will cast ballots for a new parliament and vote in a nationwide constitutional referendum linked to the July National Charter, a reform package aimed at reshaping executive power, institutional checks, and governance rules. In effect, voters are being asked not only who should govern, but how Bangladesh should be governed. To understand just what is at stake, we need to look beyond campaign rhetoric and focus on the parliamentary structure, coalition arithmetic, swing voters, and credible survey data. So just how is power structured in Bangladesh? Let's take a look. Bangladesh's national parliament, the Jatiya Sangsad, has a total of 350 seats, of which 300 general seats are directly elected from constituencies, whereas 50 seats are reserved for women and are allocated proportionally to parties based on how many of the 300 general seats they win. So effectively, this means the real contest is over those 300 directly elected seats. Once those are decided, the reserve seats simply amplify the existing strength. In practical terms, any party or coalition needs around 151 general seats to form a stable government. Now let's talk about why the coalition math matters more than headline winners. You see, the 2026 election is unfolding in a structurally altered political field, with Bangladesh's long dominant party, the Awami League, banned from the race. Their absence has fragmented vote banks and expanded the role of swing voters and post-election bargaining. In such environments, vote share does not automatically translate into power. So, say for example, a party polling in the mid-30% range can still fall short of a majority, struggle with inefficient vote distribution, or even become dependent on smaller allies. But what makes this election different is the rise of a third political force, the National Citizen Party, which has disrupted the traditional binary between BNP and the Jamaat. And this is precisely why the coalition math, and not just who tops the polls, will determine who actually governs. Let's take a look at what credible surveys indicate. A nationwide survey reported by the Daily Star found that 47.6% of respondents expect BNP leader Tariq Rahman to become the next Prime Minister, whereas 22.5% named Jamaat's chief Shafiqur Rahman. However, more than 22% said that they were unsure. Now, this undecided segment matters because it represents swing voters, late deciders who can influence close contests through turnout and last-mile mobilization. Interestingly, this survey also shows that 48.2% of voters who previously voted for the Awami League said that they will now vote for the BNP. 29.9% of those voters said that they will vote for Jamaat. 6.5% said they will vote for the National Citizen Party, and 13% for other parties, whereas about 2.4% said they have yet to decide. According to a nationwide survey by the International Republican Institute, which was based on party preferences, BNP has a support of 33%, Jamaat at 29%, with a significant remainder undecided or spread across smaller parties. Another domestic poll narrowed the margin further, putting BNP at 34.7% and the Jamaat at 33.6%. So now, while the Citizen Party does not yet dominate national polling, its support is geographically concentrated, youth-driven and movement-based, making it disproportionately influential in closely fought urban and semi-urban constituencies. So according to the analytical takeaways, BNP appears ahead, Jamaat is within striking distance, and the Citizen Party has the potential to act as a spoiler, or shall we say kingmaker, despite a smaller national vote share. Now let's take a look at the possible post-election pathways. So scenario 1, BNP emerges as the largest party but falls short of an outright majority. It requires smaller parties or independents, which ends up producing a moderate, pragmatic government which limits sharp policy shifts and encourages balanced diplomacy. Scenario 2, Jamaat as the decisive force, where Jamaat either matches BNP closely or becomes indispensable to any majority coalition, and even without leading the government, it pulls policy gravity in its direction. Now let's take a look at scenario 3, where the Citizen Party's breakthrough comes through and the party performs above expectations, especially in urban constituencies and among younger voters. So, though unable to form a government alone, it becomes critical to coalition formation or issue-based parliamentary bargaining. And finally, the last scenario, scenario 4, is that of a fragmented parliament where no stable coalition emerges quickly, with prolonged negotiations and delays in reform implementation leading to greater political uncertainty. Now, this is precisely why seat distribution and not just the vote totals will decide Bangladesh's political direction. The entire region, particularly Pakistan and India, are closely monitoring this crucial election, which will change the regional dynamics. If BNP leads the government, the more likely trajectory is strategic balancing, maintaining functional relations with India, while also normalizing and improving engagement with Pakistan, driven by economic considerations and regional pragmatism. However, if Jamaat emerges as a dominant or decisive coalition partner, analysts broadly expect greater political distance from India and expanded space for Pakistan-Bangladesh engagement, particularly in diplomatic and strategic domains. Now, this would not imply automatic alignment, but it would shift the regional balance. But if the Citizen Party gains leverage, either as a coalition partner or as a parliamentary pressure bloc, India-Bangladesh relations could cool down even further. Citizen Party leaders consistently argue that the Indian political involvement during the Sheikh Hasina period undermined Bangladesh's internal stability, and they also hold India responsible for their leader Usman Hadi's assassination, all the while advocating a more distant and sovereignty-first posture towards New Delhi rather than alignment. This stance particularly is not pro-Pakistan by default, but it is explicitly non-Indian, creating a different regional equation from the BNP's balancing approach and the Jamaat's ideological positioning. So in short, the Jamaat influence tilts the axis, BNP balances it, but the Citizen Party's leverage increases strategic distance from India. So while the BNP currently appears ahead in surveys, Bangladesh's 2026 election is not a straightforward victory story. Analysts predict a coalition-driven contest shaped by swing voters, seat efficiency, and post-election bargaining, and the rise of a third political force that could reshape both governance and regional alignments. The outcome will determine not just who governs, but who writes the rules, both at home and in Bangladesh's relations with its neighbors. Now, let's move to Dhaka, from where Professor Nurul Huda Saqib, who is a professor at Jahangirnagar University, joins us. We'll get his perspective on the election dynamics. Professor, I'd like to ask you that you've seen many elections in Bangladesh, and especially the last 3 elections, How does this election compare to those, especially vis-a-vis the youth involvement in this election?
I mean, thank you very much for inviting me. It's a pleasure. I think this is different because there are around 40 million new voters, and most of them are youth. There are female voters as well, and because of that, and these people basically didn't able to vote in the last 3 elections. Those are those elections have been rigged by the previous government. So that's why this is very important. And at the same time, we had the youth revolution, we call July uprising, and that has a significant influence on this particular election. So with this youth engagement and youth voting, the patterns of the election and the campaign, everything has changed. And the traditional mechanism, the conflicting situation that we had, if you these and the political parties like Jamaat and NCP, and also the PNP, if they follow the same path, the election result will be different. So they strategically everything is different from this particular election, and there's high hope because most of them, those who didn't vote, they want to vote, and they want a free and fair election.
Professor, what would you say have been the contributing factors? We see that there's a rise of the Jamaat in student politics. What would you say are the factors that have contributed to their popularity? And also, going forward, how do you think this is going to translate in the upcoming election?
I mean, first of all, I have to go back to the previous regime as well. And in terms of the political science theory, we basically say that if you want to contain a political party, you have to contain them politically. So the previous regime basically didn't do that. They basically contained in a different way with the the hard measures, and they basically banned these political parties. They didn't allow these political parties like Jamaat, BNP to observe their political rights. So what happened there? They basically grow underground. So they basically involved inside the Army League, inside the PNP, inside the many social organizations. They basically captured all the social institutions as well. So they grow. They basically were very much structured. So therefore, there is a soft corner for the people, and also the influence of the religion in the context of subcontinent. I would not say Bangladesh, the subcontinent is very high. So they basically took out those spaces as well. So there is soft corner. The rise of these particular groups basically had a sort of soft corner for the Jamaat, and they had so many business organizations. They had so many organizations that basically socially benefited for them, the youth and the female voters and many other groups as well. So that is a contributing factor in terms of Bangladesh. Might not maybe it's not enough, I would say, but that is very significant.
Right. Professor, as an academic, you interact with the youth on a routine basis, and we know that in the recent past, especially in Bangladesh's politics, how the youth has contributed and what role they've played in toppling the government. There's a lot of discontentment within the youth. They have a lot of grievances. Considering that the government that will be formed post the 12th elections, considering it doesn't have the representation of the citizen party, how stable do you think that government will be?
As I said, that those who will come to the power, they will be in a difficult situation, and they have to cope up with many challenges. And one of them is basically creating the employment for the youth. If they can do it successfully, creating employment and enough space for the youth, so they have to they have to attract the youth. What they are going to do for them. If not, they are not going to implement that. They basically follow the same path the Army League did in the previous time. They'll be in danger, I think. Yeah, they have to go with the flow, and they have to and we have seen that there are a lot of campaign. We have seen that because Tarek Rahman's daughter Jaima Rahman is campaigning as well. She's a youth. She is doing that, and also some of the campaign we have seen from the Jamaat, they are more youth centric, and also PNP is saying that the Shobar Bangladesh first. So they are basically trying to attach the youth in many ways.
Professor, that said, but of course, this is the first time that this young party, it's a first timer, the Citizen Party is coming into the foray. obviously elections are all about winning and losing, and someone's going to lose. Considering that these young students, these young leaders are not able to go to your parliament, do you think whatever government forms, will it be stable enough, or do you think their grievances are going to continue and they will, because if they have some sort of a stake in the government, perhaps they think they're playing their role, they can make things easier for the youth. In that sense, would the government, whichever government forms, would it be able to survive? Let me put it differently.
I mean, that depends on the how much control you have, how much representation you have. If you have the vast majority, say for example, BNP wins the election with a vast majority. On the other, if not, if Jamaat wins the election with a majority, I mean, that could be a different situation. So it depends on the whoever who wins the election and how much seats they get, and depends on the how many youths are represented there. Because Jamaat has had the coalition with NCP, and there is a possibility that one or two candidate might be win the election from the NCP as well. So if not, that could be a different, and depends on the the next 6 months, and we have to wait and see the 6 months that how BNP or Jamaat, whoever comes in the power, how they basically operate the government framework. And there is also another issue with the referendum as well, the PR system and other for 84 reforms. So whether those who comes in the power, if we had the referendum, yes, even if no, those who comes to the power, how they are taking the reforms proposal, whether they are implementing the reforms or not, whether they are basically looking at the youth concern or not. So those are very important.
So in your words, the next 6 months post-election are going to be very crucial.
Yeah,
Professor,
very crucial. Yeah.
With the Awami League, of course, it's a big party. With it being banned or absent from the race, who do you think will facilitate?
Mm-hmm. I mean, obviously, if the survey's results is true, then BNP will be facilitated. But again, during the last 3 elections, we haven't had the vote, and we don't know actual perception. Those who haven't voted, their perception. So, and if you go to remote areas, and you don't know what happens there. So there are a lot of surveys before the election, and some of them are biased, some of them not. But this session might get wrong. Depends on the election day calculation and election vote. There is depends.
The swing voters will play a decisive role.
Yes. Decisive role. Yeah.
Professor, finally, I'd like to ask you, how challenging will it be for India to recalibrate its relationship with any party that comes into power post 12th February, given the Hasina legacy and the relationship India had with Bangladesh and the Hasina government, the assassination of Usman Hadi, cricket in recent days, if one was to talk about recent days, and not to mention that India is harboring Hasina. So how do you think, how difficult will it be for the new government to navigate that relationship?
I mean, one thing certain that in terms of the India-Bangladesh relationship, both country needs each other for their own win-win relationship. So and the previous time we had a relationship that there are many newspapers said that it's kind of a political husband and wife relationship. So we have to rethink that. We have to rethink that because you cannot keep a certain neighboring countries so much facilities. So, and with the cricket and the recent Bangladesh decision not to participate with the ICC event shows there are some courage regarding the situation.
Absolutely. Finally, Professor, looking at the campaign of all these different parties and so far, how do you place these parties? Who do you foresee coming into power, or do you see a coalition government coming?
I mean, there is a coalition. BNP with have some of the political parties. On the other hand, Jamaat and NCP have coalition as well. So there is alliance and counter alliance. So, but there are some debate regarding the national government. If there will be some minister from the opposition as well. But if that happens, that will not be a good for Bangladesh, because during the Army League times they had the same they have some they facilitated their opposition as well. So that will not be the formation of the national government is not going to be a good option. So there is looking at the campaign, looking at the scenario. If the vote is going to be a fair one, there is a chance that BNP might come to the power. The overall result, you can say that there is a possibility that BNP, but again the voting pattern can change.
Professor, thank you very much for making time for our broadcast, and let's just hope that whoever wins the election is able to bring the much needed stability in Bangladesh. Well, that's it from the World Order for today. We'll see you next week.